All right. Well, the draft is over, and man, I'm fried. I spent 26 hours straight on a cartoon, like 7 hours on 2 lives, trying to get a podcast in yesterday. I'm fried. But at the end of the day, this is a complex draft. I already see we're doomed. It was terrible, and it's awesome. It was brilliant. There is so much nuance here, and I know in this age, and I'm seeing it more and more as I do this, I'm a little slow, it's just all about extremes. And that's not ever really an accurate evaluation. There's this meter that tilts one way or the other, to the good or the doomed. And I don't think it's either. I think clearly this draft has plenty of things to be excited about. There's plenty of things we got to wait and see because there are questions. It's time. And then there is a little bit of concern, and I'm going to get into it all the best I can. I'm not going to dig in too deep because I truly believe this is the most complicated game in the history of mankind by a country mile. I mean, from here to the moon, tell you the truth. So I'm going to try to get into an overview of it, lay out how I see it, try to put a little stuff in there. But I think that the doomed and the we're on our way group need to just sit in the middle and find a little bit of joy in this thing, but also keep our eyes on some areas because otherwise you might miss something good or be led astray again. So that's the deal. You look over who we drafted. Obviously, you got Kenneth Grant, Jonas Savanessa, Jordan Phillips in the 5th round. Jason Marshall Jr., the cornerback, Dante Trader Jr., the safety in the 5th round, Ollie Gordon the 2nd in the 6th round, running back, and Quinn Evers, quarterback. I know we're already going to hear he's better than Tua. We'll see maybe. And then my favorite was Zeke Biggers. That is such a great name, D tackle in the 7th. Now, I think that the biggest hope or positive that any fan should take is that this draft was very focused on the trenches. From a philosophical standpoint, this is what we should have been doing for years. Trench play on both sides, physicality, and it's better late than never. It would have been wonderful a few years ago, but we're here in this moment. And from a philosophical standpoint, I'm very happy in that. Now, there's certain things. If you saw the live coverage, talked about how Grier is safe. I can't remember the announcer's name. And I think that was that's the biggest thing that I was unhappy about. Grier is going to be here for at least 2 more years. I think 27, as I've been saying, is that key year where you might get change. Originally, I thought Grier would be here till the end of time. And then I talked to Alf, and he gave me a little bit of hope. I still hope he's right. And he said this is his last season. He's not going to stay. But everything's kind of pointing with what we saw in the draft as far as trades and the way we put some stuff to the future, that Grier is certainly here for 2 more years. And I'd say likely McDaniel as well. And so the good side is Grier's finally starting to see something that the rest of the league is seeing, and that's good. He's here. He's going to probably be here for a while. So even if he screwed up in the past, you want him to take care of business now. That's the hope. But I still think that he's definitely not Roseman. And there's a lot of guys out there that are better than him as far as a GM. So that's the 2 distances that I think we need to kind of cover. The last one is the trades. We traded up for Savanessa. A lot of people are very happy. We gave a lot of ammo. We did trade back out of that 4th and picked up a 3rd next year, which I think is an indication that Grier will be back. So it'll kind of offset it a little bit. But if you look at Savanessa, there's a lot of stuff to like. And I'm going to get into them in a second. But there were no guards picked all the way up into our 48th pick. So did Grier, we don't know. Did Grier trade up because somebody in there might have grabbed him and he had to? Or did he jump the gun? We don't know. And then you got Rutledge in the 3rd by the Lions. I think that's going to be a good comparison to see how well Grier did along with how Savanessa did. So that's the whole area for me. Strongest is the philosophy. We're finally going to power and trenches. But Greer is definitely going to be here for a while. And then there's the uncertainty of these moves. How well do they pan out? Now, last before I get into it, people comparing Savanessa to Eichenberg. No. Not to say Savanessa the greatest thing since sliced bread, but this kid is a much better player than Eichenberg. You can just see in his physicality, the way he's built. His build is not as perfect as you might think, and I'll get into that in a second. So don't go there. And I think with Grant, you got to be very happy. So Grant, I talked about him a lot. If you look at the Ravens, they had Paul Pierce, 6'3", 360, as the root. He sometimes plays 2, sometimes even played 3, but mostly he was the guy in the pit. And then they had Jones next to him, who's about 320, big guy, more athletic. And when you look at Grant, and then later on drafting Phillips, Jordan Phillips, you have a semblance of those two guys. I think Grant is not the power player that he needs to be just yet, but he's 21. And that's the thing. He's 21. Phillips is 20 and Savanessa is 21. These guys are going to take time to get to where they got to be, and we're going to have to be a little patient. But Grant has extreme mobility for a guy that big. He's a good kid. A lot of teams wanted him. My friend Tommy from Mafia Sports Report said his Bills were dying for him. Drafting Grant set the table of that first round and had a run and put some other teams, especially a division opponent, in a little bit of a lurch. So for me, he's my favorite pick by far. It's obvious, the 13th. It was the easiest pick to make. He's not going to be a bad player at the very floor of his ability. He'll be at least above average to good. Now, will he be great? There's things he's got to work on. He is a little doughy, but he is young. Guys don't get their full man strength until 24 to 27, 28. And then they get another boost in the early 30s. So, but he has got so many tools and he has so much potential when you pair him with Sealer. I love the pick. We got to see whether Nolan was better or somebody else in the draft in that first round. But I think this was, at the very least, a good pick that could be great. So I don't see how people could be unhappy with that. It was a weird position to be. Some people might have wanted Barron or somebody else. Maybe they wanted the tight end Warren or something. But if we've been complaining about the trenches and he grabs Grant, would have been very easy for him to do a Greer. I think that we've got to just kind of do a holding pattern and say, good job. You know, we'll see if it's a great job. Now, Savanessa, a lot of people love Savanessa. We traded up. We traded third to move up. There was a bunch of picks that traded around. But essentially, it was a third-round pick, and we traded out of the fourth to kind of mitigate that, which makes it, you know, in a worst-case scenario, less value used to get him. But when you look at Savanessa in college, he played all over the place. So if you love a guy that could play tackle, guard, he played this season. He played half at left guard, tackle and half at right tackle. That's not easy. This guy's got talent. He's got a lot of talent. He's very nimble on his feet. He's got the prototypical size. His arms are a little bit short, maybe you could say, for a tackle, but he's not going to play that. He's going to play guard. Now, the one thing I like about him a ton is his ability to true pass set. And if you look at his numbers, he had graded 88 out of 100 in pass blocking grade in true pass sets. True pass sets means that he's kind of left on his own. They're not giving him help. They're not scheme or play calling help for him. And that's huge. The thing I've been talking about for years is our inability to do true pass sets. And when you have Daniels who can true pass set, Brewer could do a pretty good job for a limited time in true pass sets. And now him in the interior, this is going to allow us to do some very different stuff in the pass game. And that's his strength. He had a ton of victories in pass blocking. And he can handle power pretty well, although at times they say sometimes the bull rush can get to him, but he's got good hands, heavy hands. He's got great, if you look at him from a body standpoint, he's got a big upper body. His lower body's not as equally matched, but his calves are big. This guy he won't get blown over like Eichenberg. Eichenberg has a very poor build. And from a pass blocking standpoint, from him getting on the move and pulling to block, for him to get to the second level, for him to do the stuff that we like to do, he is very, very good. Now, Savanessa, unless he grows in certain areas, it means that Greer and McDaniel are leaning into what they do, which is a lot of finesse stuff, a lot of stuff where it's outside zone. And so if you like that, then this is very good. I don't know. And when you look at him, he struggles. They surprisingly, they say that because of his size, he does lack the ability to dig guys out. And he's big, but a little doughy. And if we must, no matter what, dig out the A and B gap in the red zone, on inside run plays, and even you want to get guys moved out if you want the cutback on the outside zone. So this is the concern I have. And if you look at his career, he was in a very pass-heavy system. His run blocks was 260 to 478, so it was almost like only 30% run blocks in 24. He had a little better in 23. It was 349 to 540, so it was like a 60-40 ratio. When he played guard in 2022, it was 265 to 526. It was a very pass-heavy offense. And this is what we do here. So if you're happy with what we're doing, you're happy we're leaning into it, then he is the perfect guy for you. Now, if he can get himself, because he's 21, get the power, get the strength to be more than just that, then he's going to turn into clear value for the trade-up. But if not, it is going to be a little bit of an overspend. Now, we can't get crazy because they said the same stuff about Pooney the year before, Dominic Pooney, who San Francisco 49ers drafted. And he had an excellent season. A lot of the same knocks were on Pooney that are on Savanessa. And he cleared a lot of them up in the offseason when he became a pro. And if he can do what Pooney did, this will be a phenomenal pick. But he's going to have to do that because, guys, even as good as he is with the pass blocking and on the move, it's going to help us in what we like to do. But until we can hurt teams on the interior and fully alter their leverage, we're going to be playing uphill. So he, for me, is a wait and see. I like that we went and got an offensive lineman. I like a lot of what he brings, but you got to understand what the player is. And he does need to grow. But the great news is he can grow, but we've got to wait and see. And the other question is, how long will it take for him to grow in those areas? And then we really didn't get another pick until the 5th round, and we got Jordan Phillips. And Jordan Phillips is a very exciting player for me. I haven't watched film on him. I'm going to get to him. But when you look at this guy, this is a powerful, and I wouldn't say, man, he's 20 years old. He's 6'2", 320 pounds. He squats over 600. He put up bench of 225, 29 times. But the greatest thing is, it's unbelievable power for 365. For 20 years old, he put 365 pounds press. That is extreme strength. And what I love about this guy, potentially, is that he can play the zero and he can grow with Benito Jones and him rotating in and out. And he's got the leverage at 6'2". And so most offensive linemen are going to be blocking down unless they've got great bend. And at 320 pounds with this kind of strength that's only going to get higher when he's 22, 23, 24. He can clearly play that zero role, and that will allow Sealer to flex out more, allow Grant to flex out more. It's going to help us with this run game. I don't know how much early, but I think this is great potential for a 5th round pick. I'm not saying it is, but it does have a VG Van Ginkel type 5th round potential. This guy is a hard worker. They say he's ferocious. He brings a little nastiness to this defensive line. And we weren't able to clear up all the stuff we need this season. But when you add Grant, you add Phillips, and then back in, I'll get to another DT, we did a lot to help out controlling this A and B gap and being physical on defense. They've got to develop. They've got to be the guys we want them to be, but there is the potential. Savanessa at least helps us out in the trenches. Marshall in the 5th round, I'm not high on him. He's a special teamer. I wasn't really big on that one. Dante Trader, the safety, not really big, not really high on him, but they could, they could show something, but not really high. Now, a lot of people are high on Ollie Gordon a second. Big guy, 6'1", 226 running back. We've invested a lot. We invested a 3rd round on Achane. We spent 2/4 on Wright. 6th round pick, it's not an end of the world, but it's a lot of time and rep investment. Now, when you look at him, he had a terrible year this year, an amazing year in 2023, but the offensive line was terrible this year, and a lot of the knocks on him was that he kind of started not giving everything when the blocking wasn't there. That's a red flag for me. But this guy is a huge guy, a physical guy. You give him the holes and he can do something. But again, remember, we've had guys. We had Brooks a couple of years ago. We had Balaj before that. He's not shifty. So if we're not getting yards before contact and creating gaps for him to run in, then it's going to look like it did in college. And it's going to be harder in the pros because the holes are going to be small. A lot of people have shown film on him. He ran a 4.69. His split was like 4.16. All these were bottom 5 in of all the running backs tested at the combine. He had a decent broad jump. His vertical is only 34. He's not a shifty guy. He's not going to break it big. They say he likes a lot of reps. So are we going to give him a lot of reps? Or are we just going to bring him here for a rep or two and pull him out? If we give him the yards before contact, he will give you that extra, clearly. But the problem is when you're running inside, he's not going to be able to run outside zone because he's not fast enough and he doesn't have the ability to cut back. So the one thing I do like about him, and a lot of people don't take into account with a running back, is can they pass block? This kid's a big kid. He's got some decent pass blocking. It's going to help us a ton because Achane can pass block. Wright struggled with it. And if you can't do that, it kind of pigeonholes you into being a very limited running back. And the fact that he has that potential is a nice little asset added into it. Quinn Evers, we drafted a quarterback. A lot of people complain we don't draft quarterbacks. We drafted a quarterback. He's dinged a lot. People calling him Tua light because of the injuries. Kind of got like a little bit of weaker arm, they say. But we drafted a quarterback. He's not going to be better than Tua, but he's there. We got Wilson to be that guy. And we should draft a quarterback this year. We should draft one next year. We should keep on drafting because they are valuable assets. So it is what it is. We'll see. Is he Skylar 2.0? I don't know. But you got to draft. You got to shoot in order to hit. So we knock Greer a lot for a lot of stuff, but his philosophy throughout this has been what we wanted. Will the execution be there? We'll see. Then the last is Al from 3 yards per carry. Respect a ton. Said, Curtis, I think maybe Phillips is a little bit like a developmental guy because he is only 20 years old. Although I checked, the world record is Eddie Hall, world's strongest man. He did 365 overhead press. And Phillips did 465. Phillips did 365 at 20 years old. Eddie Hall was in his 30s. This kid has genetically rare strength. My best was 220 overhead. I was 185 pounds, but that was like, I felt like a superstar. So this kid is in a special category, but he said Zeke Biggers, which is a great name. I think it's vying for Storm Duck. He said, look out for this guy. But I don't see him being in the pit of the 0 because he's 6'5". He's got a little bit of pad level issues, but this guy could be a D end or a rotational D tackle guy you can look at, a guy you can bring in competition. And so I like this pick as well. It's a nice little roll of the dice. We went into the trenches and went hard, and he's got a great name. So I think overall this draft, from a philosophical standpoint, is what we've wanted for years. The execution, the trades, we got to see. We got to see how these guys pan out. It's going to take time. And I'm not happy about Greer being back. I'm not. But if he's going to be here, and I'm a Dolphins fan till I die, I got to just hope for the best. There's a lot to like. There is some concern. I mean, you got to get Savanessa to be more than just a pass blocker. You've got to get Grant to grow in some areas. But that guy never came off the field. He's got phenomenal heart and endurance. You want to see Phillips pan out. You want to see at least 3 of these guys be on this roster. We'll see if that happens. I think there's so many holes they're going to be, but whether they earn it or not, we'll see. But overall, I think there's a lot of positives to this, with the big negative that Greer's going to be in charge. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So I hope you enjoyed the draft. I'm going to get back to you when I get some more strength to dial this in. I'm going to watch a lot of film on these guys. There's just so many players. I'm not really a big draft guy. I love it. It's just I'm OCD, so I get fixated on guys. But now I can fixate on the guys we got and see. I'll get fixated on all the players in this division too. So overall, I think you should be happy, at least not terribly sad. And I do think there's potential for us to be happy with this draft. So Curtis saying, be well, go Fins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.